Attention passionate Chicago, Bears fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Chicago Bears' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Chicago Bears fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Chicago, Bears fans. Let's get to the news now. Folks, buckle up because what I'm about to tell you could be one of the most significant rumors in recent Bears history. It's not every day that a potential blockbuster trade shakes up the entire NFC North, but that's exactly what's swirling around the rumor mill right now. And honestly, if there's any player that could truly turn the tide for Chicago, it's none other than Maxx Crosby from the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, you heard that right. The same Crosby who's been a nightmare for offenses all season long, the guy who's constantly in the backfield, applying pressure, forcing turnovers, and just making life miserable for quarterbacks. Sources close to Adam Schefter have been buzzing with whispers that Vegas might actually be open to trading Crosby. I know, sounds crazy, right? But hear me out. The Raiders, sitting at 3-6 in November 2025, are in a real mess. They're dealing with a cap crunch around $14, $2 million no less, and their season has been a roller coaster of disappointment. They're also in the middle of a rebuild, especially on the offensive line, which has been plagued by injuries and inconsistent play. It makes sense that they'd want to shed some cap space and start fresh, especially on defense, which has struggled to contain opponents and get after the quarterback consistently. Now, the rumor suggests that the Raiders might be willing to part ways with Crosby in exchange for a second-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. If this happens, it would be a seismic move, not just for the Bears, but across the league. Think about it. The Bears, already in the thick of the playoff hunt at 5-3, would be adding a top-tier pass rusher who's been a game-changer this season. Crosby's stats are eye-popping: 9 sacks, 52 pressures, 13 tackles for loss, and a PFF pass rush grade of 90.5, which is among the best in the league. His EPA per snap of -0. 42 indicates he's making a real difference every time he's on the field, and his win rate of 28% shows he's winning more than his fair share of battles. Crosby's career numbers back up his impact. Over his time in the league, he's accumulated an impressive 65 sacks and 250 pressures, all while battling through injuries like his ankle sprain in Week 5, which limited him to 74% of the snaps. But when healthy, this guy is a relentless force. Speed, bend, power, you name it. Just look at his Week 3 performance against the Kansas City Chiefs, where he racked up 2.5 sacks. That's the kind of game-changing ability that can transform a defense from good to elite. And speaking of that, the Bears' defensive front right now has been pretty solid, but not quite at Crosby's level. With Odeyingbo injured, they've allowed 20 points per game, and their pass rush has dipped to just 2-1 sacks per game after losing Johnson and Gordon to IR. Bringing Crosby into that mix, it's like adding a hurricane to a storm. His ability to generate pressure constantly would help collapse opposing pockets, force turnovers, and create chaos for offenses. That would mean a more dominant front seven, which in turn would elevate the secondary. You see, when the pass rush is relentless, quarterbacks get nervous and mistakes happen. The Bears, who already have a solid secondary, would be able to take even more risks, knowing Crosby's there to harass the QB. Looking at the stats, if the Bears acquire Crosby, projections suggest he could reach around 12 or more sacks this season. That kind of production would be enormous for a team that's been looking to push over that playoff hump. More pressure on the quarterback means fewer time to throw, which translates into more turnovers, something the Bears desperately need to keep their playoff hopes alive. Plus, with a pressure rate that collapses the pocket, the Bears' defense would be forcing opponents into tough third-down situations, increasing their chances of getting off the field. Currently, opponents are converting about 38% of their third downs against the Bears, but with Crosby, that number could drop significantly. And let's not forget, a defense that's constantly pressuring the QB also forces teams into more mistakes, leading to more turnovers. That's exactly what the Bears need to stay competitive in a crowded NFC playoff race. The impact could be felt across the board: more sacks, more turnovers, and a defense that's feared once again. Crosby's presence would also help neutralize the run game, as his ability to penetrate and shed blocks would make it harder for opponents to establish a ground attack. The Bears' run defense, which has struggled at times, could see a dramatic improvement, especially if Crosby draws double teams and opens opportunities for others. Now, what does this mean for the Bears' Super Bowl aspirations? Well, the odds already favor the Bears at +2,500, but adding Crosby as a centerpiece could push those odds even further. Imagine a defense with Crosby rushing the passer, along with a talented secondary and a solid front seven. That combination makes Chicago a serious threat. It's no secret that the Bears' offense has been pretty balanced. Justin Fields has been playing well, and the running game is solid. But you need the defense to really close out games and create those game-changing plays. Crosby could be the X factor that elevates the Bears from a good team to a true contender. Looking at the division, especially with the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions, the Bears' chances to dominate the NFC North could skyrocket if they land a player of Crosby's caliber. The Packers are still trying to find consistency, and the Lions' defense isn't exactly impenetrable. But with Crosby, Chicago would have an elite pass rusher that could disrupt even the best offenses in the league. It would be a statement move, showing everyone that the Bears are not just content with being playoff contenders, but aiming for the Super Bowl. Of course, there's always skepticism in these kinds of rumors. Vegas might be hesitant to part ways with Crosby unless they get a substantial return, and the Bears would need to make sure they're not giving up too much in draft capital. But if there's any team that can pull off a move like this, it's the Bears. With their current roster, especially on defense, adding a player like Crosby could be the final piece they need to make a serious run. And remember, in the NFL, timing is everything. If the Bears can capitalize on this moment, if the rumors are true, they could set themselves up for a deep playoff push, maybe even a Super Bowl appearance in the near future. Crosby's presence alone would energize the team and the fan base, and the atmosphere at Soldier Field would be electric with him rushing the passer. It's a move that could define a new era for Chicago, a move that could be remembered for years to come as the trade that turned a good team into a legendary one. Now, I know the offseason rumors are always speculative until they're confirmed, but as Bears fans, we've seen enough to know that sometimes it's the bold moves that change everything. Keep an eye on this situation because if the Raiders and Bears come to an agreement, it could be the start of something special. A new chapter in Chicago Bears history, built around a relentless pass rusher and a defense that's no longer just good but feared. That's the kind of team that makes a true Super Bowl run, and honestly, I can't wait to see if this comes to fruition. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Chicago Bears news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Chicago Bears fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you think Crosby is the missing piece that can finally push Chicago over the top? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Bears. Do you believe it's worth the risk to make a move like this? Or do you think the Bears should hold on to their draft picks and build through the draft? Either way, I want to hear your voice. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for all the latest Chicago Bears news. Let's keep the passion alive, and who knows? Maybe soon we'll be celebrating a new era of dominance at Soldier Field. Keep the faith, Bears fans. The best is yet to come.